Welcome to this lecture on building websites with WordPress. In this session, we're going to walk through some of the most foundational concepts you need to get started, from understanding domains and hosting, to installing WordPress, working with plugins, and using the classic editor to write and format your content. Whether you're brand new or just filling in the gaps, this is your starting point. Before we dive into WordPress itself, let's make sure we understand the two essential ingredients every website needs. First, a domain. That's your website's address, the URL people type into their browser. Second, hosting. That's the server where all your website files are actually stored. Think of the domain as your home address, and hosting as the actual house. Here's an important point that trips up a lot of beginners. If you buy your domain and hosting from the same provider, say Kailash Cloud, everything is automatically connected. You don't need to touch any name server settings. But if they come from different providers, you'll need to point your domain's name servers to your hosting. We'll come back to that. Now, not everyone in a class is at the same stage, and that's completely fine. Some of you may already have both a domain and hosting ready to go. Others might have one but not the other, and some might not have purchased anything yet. The instructor here makes a great point. If you want to learn without spending much, you can grab a cheap XYZ domain and use that for practice. The skills you build are completely transferable. When you go to purchase hosting, you'll typically see at least two common options: general web hosting and WordPress-specific hosting. Both can run WordPress just fine. WordPress hosting is optimized for it, but web hosting gives you more flexibility. During checkout, always look for a promo code field. Sometimes codes expire after a few hours, so if a code doesn't work, try another or check with your instructor. After you complete your purchase, the hosting provider will send you a verification email. This is a step many beginners miss. You must click that verification link to fully activate your account. If you skip it, you may find yourself stuck on a pending verification screen when you try to log in, so always check your inbox right after signing up. Let's talk about name servers, because this is where a lot of confusion happens. Name servers are what connect your domain address to your hosting server. If you bought your domain and hosting from the same company, this is handled automatically. You don't need to do anything. But if they're from different companies, you need to log into your domain registrar, find the name server settings, and replace them with the values provided by your hosting company. You have two paths when learning WordPress. You can practice locally on your own computer, which doesn't cost anything but requires some technical setup that can be tricky for beginners. Or you can work on a live server from the start. The instructor strongly recommends going live early, and here's why. If you build everything locally and then try to migrate it to a live server later, you have to redo a lot of steps. Starting live means your work is always in the right place. Installing WordPress on your hosting account is actually much easier than most beginners expect. Most hosting providers include a one-click installer. You log into your hosting control panel, find the WordPress installer, fill in a few details like your site name and admin password, and click Install. Within minutes, WordPress is live on your domain. To access your dashboard going forward, you always go to your domain followed by /wp-admin. Once WordPress is installed, you'll land on the dashboard. This is your control center. On the left sidebar, you have access to everything: posts for your blog articles, pages for static content like your About page, plugins for adding features, appearance for changing your design, and settings for configuring how your site behaves. Take a few minutes to click through each section and familiarize yourself with where things are before you start building. Let's walk through creating your very first post. You go to Posts, then Add New. At the top, you type your title, something like "What is digital marketing?" Below that is the content editor where you write your article. On the right sidebar, you can set a featured image, assign categories, and control publishing options. Now, by default, WordPress uses what's called the Gutenberg block editor, and for many beginners, it can feel a bit unfamiliar and hard to format. That's where a plugin comes in. The Classic Editor plugin is one of the most recommended tools for WordPress beginners, and here's why. WordPress's default editor, called Gutenberg, works with blocks. Each paragraph, image, and heading is a separate block that you drag and arrange. For someone just starting out, this can feel confusing. The Classic Editor, on the other hand, gives you a toolbar that looks and feels exactly like Microsoft Word. Bold, italic, headings, lists, all in one familiar toolbar. Installing the Classic Editor is straightforward. From your dashboard, go to Plugins, then Add New, and search for Classic Editor. Click Install Now, then Activate. That's it. Your post editor immediately transforms into the familiar word processor-style interface. And here's a time-saving tip the instructor mentions. If you have multiple plugins to activate, you can select them all using the checkboxes and use the Bulk Actions menu to activate them all at once instead of one by one. In this particular course session, the instructor had students install 5 plugins in total. Rather than activating each one individually, you can check the box next to each plugin, go to the Bulk Actions dropdown at the top of the list, select Activate, and apply it. All 5 become active simultaneously. This is a small but useful workflow habit to develop.
Once the classic editor is active, your post-creation screen is completely transformed. You get a clean title field at the top, and below it, a rich text toolbar with all the formatting options you'd expect: bold, italic, bullet lists, numbered lists, links, and image insertion. On the right side, you have panels for your featured image, categories, tags, and the publish controls. Everything is visible and accessible without needing to know what a block is. It's intuitive from the very first use.
A common real-world situation is inheriting or returning to a WordPress site that was built years ago, maybe by someone else, maybe by yourself when you were just starting out. The first thing to do is audit what you have. Check which theme is installed under Appearance. Old sites often run legacy themes that are no longer maintained or even included in WordPress by default. Then check your plugins, see what's installed, what's active, and remove anything you don't recognize or need. Here's an important warning about old sites. If your theme hasn't been updated in years, it likely has security vulnerabilities. The instructor pointed out that some old default themes are no longer even included in fresh WordPress installations. They've been replaced by newer ones like 2024. If your theme is outdated and no longer maintained, seriously consider migrating your content to a fresh WordPress installation with a modern, actively supported theme.
WordPress has 2 distinct types of themes, and knowing the difference matters a lot for how you'll edit your site. Classic themes are the older style. They use PHP template files and are customized through the WordPress customizer. Block themes are the modern standard, built entirely with the Gutenberg block editor and edited through the full site editor. The instructor noted that a student's old site was running a block-style theme, which explained why the editing experience felt different from what they expected.
Let's take stock of where we are. We've covered the fundamentals of domains and hosting, how to connect them, how to install WordPress, and how the Classic Editor plugin dramatically improves the post-writing experience. We also looked at how to approach an older WordPress site, checking the theme, reviewing plugins, and planning a migration if needed. Coming up, we're going to go deeper into WordPress's core components, how themes and plugins work together to build a fully functional website. So let's talk about the different ways you can set up a local development environment to practice WordPress. There are essentially 3 paths. First, there's Local WP, a browser-based tool that requires no installation and is great for beginners. Second, buying a cheap XYZ domain for around 300 Nepali rupees gives you a real live site you can later migrate to a .com. And third, XAMPP or JAMP, a full local server setup. But this one requires significant technical knowledge and is not recommended if you're just starting out. The key thing to watch out with Local WP's free plan is that your projects are only saved for 7 days. After that, everything you've worked on gets deleted. So if you go this route, make absolutely sure you back up your work before that window closes. Losing hours of practice work is frustrating and completely avoidable. The XYZ domain option is actually a really smart move for beginners on a budget. For just 300 Nepali rupees, you get a real live website. You can practice with your own name on it, and when you're ready to go professional, you can migrate everything to a .com domain. It's low risk, low cost, and gives you real-world experience from day one. XAMPP and JAMP require you to download software, manually configure a local server, manage ports, and handle databases, all before you even touch WordPress. For someone without a technical background, this is a significant barrier. The instructor explicitly advises against this path for non-technical learners. If you're from an IT background, you can handle it, but for everyone else, stick to Local WP or just invest in a cheap domain. Here's the step-by-step process for getting started with Local WP. Go to localwp.com, click Get Started, and sign in using your Google account or email. That's the easiest route. From there, you can create a new project and start working in WordPress right away. One important note, there is an online version that works entirely in your browser without any download, which makes it even more accessible for beginners. Once you're inside and building, keep that 7-day clock in mind. The free plan will wipe your project after a week, so get into the habit of exporting or backing up your work regularly. Think of it like saving your game. You don't want to lose progress because you forgot to hit save. If you're serious about learning WordPress, making a small investment pays off enormously. An XYZ domain costs around 300 rupees. That's very affordable. Pair it with basic hosting, install WordPress, build your skills, and when you're ready to go professional, migrate everything to a .com. The instructor emphasizes that this industry requires some investment to truly learn. Trying to do everything for free leads to constant frustration and lost work. When purchasing a domain, you'll need to fill out an account registration form. Don't be confused by fields like street address, just put your neighborhood or toll name there. For city, enter your actual city, like Belbari or Meringue. For state, enter your province name, like Koshi Province. And for the postal code, just do a quick Google search. Type postal code of Belbari, and you'll get it instantly. Optional fields marked with an asterisk can be left blank. The postal code is the one field that trips most people up because they don't know it off the top of their head. But it's the easiest to solve. Just open a new browser tab, type your city name followed by postal code, and Google will show you the answer right away. Copy it in, and you're done. Before you click Continue at checkout, always make sure your promo code is entered and applied. The instructor demonstrated that the promo code gives a 10% discount, which brings the total down noticeably. After applying the code, verify the new discounted total, then proceed to payment. The platform supports bank transfer and digital wallets like Sewa and Kalti. You'll find the account number listed on the payment page, and you can send payment confirmation via WhatsApp. Once you've purchased your domain and hosting separately, you need to connect them through a process called DNS, or Name Server Configuration. You log into your domain registrar, find the DNS settings, and replace the default name servers with the ones provided by your hosting company. This change can take anywhere from a few minutes to 48 hours to propagate. If you see an error saying DNS address could not be found, it simply means the name servers haven't been updated yet. If you're unsure how to change your name servers, don't worry. The instructor mentioned that students can reach out directly via inbox or WhatsApp with their domain details, and they'll be guided through the process step by step, even via screen share if needed. Nobody has to figure this out alone. One of the most common mistakes beginners make in WordPress is trying to delete a plugin directly without deactivating it first. WordPress simply won't allow it. The delete option either won't appear or won't work on an active plugin. The correct process is first click deactivate on the plugin, wait for it to deactivate, and then the delete option becomes available. Select it, click apply, and it's gone. Simple two-step process, but you have to follow the order. Let's walk through it one more time clearly. Click deactivate. The plugin status changes from active to inactive. Now the delete link appears underneath it. Click delete, confirm, and click apply. That's the complete four-step flow. Once you've done it once, it becomes second nature. The key takeaway is deactivate first, always. Before you start designing or adding any content in WordPress, you need to plan the structure of your website. This is called wireframing. Every website, no matter how complex, follows the same basic structure. A header at the top containing your logo and navigation, a body in the middle where your main content lives, and a footer at the bottom with contact information and links. Getting this structure clear in your head first makes the entire design process much smoother and more intentional. Once your domain and hosting are connected, installing WordPress is straightforward using Softaculous inside cPanel. Log into cPanel, scroll down to find the Softaculous apps installer section, click on WordPress, fill in your site name and admin credentials, and hit install. Softaculous handles everything automatically. No manual file uploads, no database setup by hand. Within minutes, your WordPress site is live, and you can log in at yourdomain.com/wp-admin. Screen sharing is an important skill for participating in online learning sessions and getting help from the instructor. In Zoom, click the green Share Screen button in the toolbar. A pop-up will appear with three options: Chrome tab, Window, or Entire Screen. Choose Entire Screen for the easiest and most complete sharing experience. Click Share, and you're done. If you can't find the button, look near the camera icon for a small upward arrow that reveals additional sharing options. So once you've purchased your domain and hosting, the very first thing you'll see when you log in is the client dashboard. This is your control center. Here you can see all your active hosting packages, how many domains you've registered, any unpaid invoices, and if you ever run into a problem, you can raise a support ticket right from here. It's straightforward and everything is organized in one place. The two most important sections for you right now are services and domains. Under services, you can see which hosting package is active. Under domains, you can see every domain you've registered. Next to each entry, you'll find Active and Manage buttons. These are what you'll use to take action. There are two ways to get into cPanel. The first is directly from the client dashboard. You click Manage on your hosting package, then click Log into cPanel, and you're in. The second way is through the confirmation email you received when you bought hosting. That email contains your cPanel URL, username, and password. Either way works, and once you're inside cPanel, you can change your password anytime. When you first open cPanel, it can look a little overwhelming. There's a lot going on.
You'll see sections for email, files, databases, domains, metrics, security, software, and advanced settings. But don't worry about most of these right now. The one section we care about today is software, because that's where we'll find the WordPress Manager tool to install WordPress with just a few clicks. Inside the software section, look for WordPress Manager by Softaculous. Softaculous is a one-click installer. It handles all the technical setup for you. You don't need to manually configure databases or upload files. Just click it, fill in a few details, and WordPress gets installed automatically on your domain. Here's the full step-by-step process for installing WordPress. Open WordPress Manager by Softaculous, click Install, then choose your protocol. Always pick the last HTTPS option. Next, select your domain from the dropdown and make sure to remove the WP directory from the URL field. You want WordPress installed at the root of your domain, not in a subfolder. Then set your admin username, a strong password, and your email. Remove any pre-checked add-on plugins because they add unnecessary weight to your site. Hit Install, and the process begins automatically. Two things are really important here. First, when you see the WP in the directory field, delete it. If you leave it, WordPress installs at yoursite.com/WP instead of yoursite.com, and that's not what you want. Second, those pre-checked add-ons might seem helpful, but they add unnecessary load to your site. Uncheck them before installing. Once the installation finishes, Softaculous gives you two URLs. The first is your front-end URL. This is what visitors see when they come to your website. Right now, it'll look pretty bare because you haven't designed it yet. The second is your admin URL, which ends in /wp-admin. This is your backend, where you'll log in to manage everything. Think of it as the engine room of your website. Keep both of these saved somewhere safe. A subdomain lets you create multiple separate websites under a single domain name. For example, if your main domain is example.com, you could have blog.example.com, shop.example.com, school.example.com. Each one is a completely independent WordPress installation. This is incredibly useful for practice. Instead of buying multiple domains, you can build and test 5, 6, even 10 different website layouts using just one domain. That's exactly how the instructor manages so many projects. Now, technically, you can create unlimited subdomains on most hosting plans, but practically speaking, you want to keep it to around 5 to 7. If you create too many, the server can slow down because all those files are sharing the same resources. For learning and practice purposes, though, subdomains are your best friend. You get to experiment without any extra cost. Creating a subdomain is simple. Go into cPanel, find the Domain section, and click Create a new domain. Type your subdomain, for example, blog.yourdomain.com. One important thing, do not check the Share Document Root option. If you check that, the subdomain and main domain will share the same folder, which causes conflicts. Leave it unchecked, hit Submit, and your subdomain is created. Then go back to WordPress Manager and install WordPress on that subdomain exactly the same way you did for the main domain. This one setting trips up a lot of beginners. The Share Document Root checkbox sounds harmless, but if you enable it, your subdomain and main domain end up pointing to the same folder on the server. That means changes on one affect the other, and your installations can interfere with each other. Always leave it unchecked when creating a subdomain. If after installing WordPress you see a DNS address could not be found error in the browser, don't panic. This is a name server configuration issue. It means the domain you registered is not yet pointing to your hosting server. You need to go to wherever you bought your domain, find the name server settings, and update them to match the name servers provided by your hosting company. Your hosting provider usually sends these in the confirmation email. After you make the change, wait about 25 to 30 minutes for the update to propagate. Here's exactly what to do. Log in to wherever you bought your domain. That could be a local registrar like Mercantile or any .com.np provider. Find the DNS or name server section. You'll see fields for name server 1 and name server 2. Replace whatever is there with the name servers from your hosting company. Kailash Hosting, for example, will have sent these in your welcome email. Save the changes and wait. Within 25 to 30 minutes, your domain will resolve correctly, and you'll be able to access your WordPress site. Before you start building anything in WordPress, you need a plan. That's what wireframing is. It's the blueprint of your website. Every website, no matter how complex, is built on 3 core sections: the header at the top, the body in the middle, and the footer at the bottom. A wireframe helps you decide what goes where your logo sits, where your navigation links are, what content appears in the body, and what information lives in the footer. A good wireframe answers 5 key questions before you write a single line of code or drag a single block in WordPress. What colors will you use? How will the layout be structured? What content goes in each section? How will users navigate between pages? And where exactly do your key components, like call to action buttons, contact forms, and image galleries, sit on the page? Getting clear on these before you build saves enormous amounts of time and rework later.
If you're not sure what content to put on your website, AI can help you get started fast. The course curriculum specifically includes using AI to generate homepage layouts, content categories, blog post topics, and service descriptions. You provide basic information, your business type, your services, your audience, and AI gives you a structured content plan you can directly use in your wireframe. This is especially helpful for beginners who know what they want to build but aren't sure how to organize it.
Picking up right where we left off, let's walk through the core sections of the WordPress backend dashboard. On the left sidebar, you'll find everything you need to manage your site. We have posts, media, pages, comments, and then the critical ones: appearance, plugins, users, and settings. Understanding what each of these does is the foundation of working confidently in WordPress.
The instructor specifically calls out appearance and plugins as the most important sections to understand. Once you've got a handle on these, along with users and settings, you have real control over how your site looks and functions. Everything above those, like posts and pages, builds on top of this foundation.
When you first log into WordPress, the dashboard can look overwhelming. There are widgets everywhere, but there's a simple fix: the Screen Options button at the top right. The instructor demonstrates unchecking everything except the Welcome panel and Quick Draft. This gives you a clean, distraction-free backend workspace. It's a small step that makes a big difference when you're just starting out. The Update section in the dashboard is where WordPress notifies you about anything on your site that needs attention: plugins, themes, and even the WordPress core itself. The instructor shows a live example where 8 updates were pending, including Elementor, Rank Math, Google Sitekit, and Tutor LMS. With just one click on Update All, everything gets refreshed. Keeping your site updated is important for security and performance.
One of the most common points of confusion for beginners is the difference between posts and cages. Posts are dynamic. They're your blog articles. They show up in feeds, and they can be organized with categories and tags. Pages, on the other hand, are static and standalone. Your homepage, About Us, services, and contact pages, those are all pages in WordPress. They don't appear in any feed. They just live on their own.
Inside the Posts menu, you'll find sub-options: All Posts, Add Post, Categories, and Tags. For pages, you can publish them, move them to draft, trash them, or restore them from the trash. The instructor demonstrates trashing a page and then restoring it, showing that nothing is permanently lost until you empty the trash.
Every image, video, or file you see on a WordPress website comes from the media library. When you upload an image to a page or post, it's stored here. The instructor explains that this is your central hub for all visual assets. Whether it's a hero banner image, a service section photo, or a downloadable PDF, it all lives in the media library, and you can access or reuse it anytime.
The comment section is straightforward but important. Whenever a visitor leaves a comment on one of your blog posts, it shows up here. You have full control. You can approve it so it appears publicly, reply to it directly, or trash it entirely. The instructor emphasizes that this moderation power is entirely in your hands, which is great for maintaining a professional and spam-free site.
So why do we need plugins? Out of the box, WordPress is a fairly basic content management system. It can handle posts and pages, but it can't do drag-and-drop page building on its own. That's where plugins come in. A plugin is essentially an add-on that extends what WordPress can do. The instructor uses the analogy of smartphone apps. You install them to get new features. For drag-and-drop design, we'll be installing a plugin called Elementor.
Now, here's where things get really exciting. The instructor introduces using ChatGPT to plan your entire website before you even open WordPress. By giving ChatGPT a well-structured prompt, defining your role, context, and desired output, you can generate a complete website blueprint in minutes. The prompt includes the type of site, the target audience, the pages needed, and even the goal of the website. The AI then returns a detailed, structured plan. The instructor breaks down the prompt structure into 3 key parts. First, you assign a role, telling the AI who it is, like you are an expert web developer. Second, you provide context, who you are, what your goal is, and what platform you're using. Third, you specify the output you want. This role context output framework is what makes AI prompts powerful and precise.
What's remarkable about the AI output is the level of detail it provides. For the color scheme, it doesn't just say use blue. It gives you exact hex color codes for primary, secondary, background, text, and call to action elements. For typography, it recommends specific font families and weights. The instructor points out that this output is immediately actionable. You can plug these values directly into your design tool without any guesswork. The AI goes even further. It generates the actual content for each page. For the home page, it writes a hero headline, a subheadline, and even the text for call to action buttons. For services, it lists out specific offerings like SEO, social media management, paid advertising, and content marketing. The footer is laid out as 4 columns. The instructor emphasizes, this is your content blueprint. You take this and build it into your design. Here's a clever technique the instructor shares, the prompt engineer trick. Instead of spending hours perfecting your prompt, you ask ChatGPT itself to improve it. You say, act as a prompt engineer, then rewrite this prompt to make it better, and paste your original prompt. The AI returns a dramatically improved, more structured version of your request. Then you take that rewritten prompt and use it to get even better results. It's a 2-step process that saves a lot of time. The instructor takes it one step further and asks ChatGPT to generate a wireframe, a visual layout plan for the website. The AI responds with a detailed structure. The header spans full width with logo and navigation. The hero section is 100 viewport height with a 2-column layout. The body contains a services grid, testimonials, and blog previews, and the footer has 4 columns. It even specifies technical details, like using Flexbox in Elementor. The hero section is the most important part of any homepage. It's the first thing a visitor sees. The wireframe specifies a 2-column layout, your headline and call to action buttons on the left, and a professional photo on the right. This is a proven high-converting layout, and the AI already knows to recommend it. You'll build exactly this structure inside Elementor. Every website, no matter how complex, follows the same 3-zone structure. The header at the top contains your logo and navigation menu. The body is the main content area where you place images, text blocks, service descriptions, testimonials, and contact forms. The footer at the bottom holds copyright info, quick links, and social media icons. The instructor calls this the foundational layout you need to understand before you build anything. For creating your wireframe before the next class, the instructor recommends 2 tools. If you're a beginner, Canva is the way to go. It has a dedicated website section with templates you can customize. If you're comfortable with design tools, Figma is the industry standard and gives you more control. Both are free to use at the basic level. The homework is clear. Come to the next session with a wireframe of your planned website, knowing what sections you want, what content goes where. A quick but important technical concept comes up in this session: name server setup. When you register a domain and purchase hosting separately, you need to tell your domain where your website actually lives. You do this by updating the primary and secondary name servers in your domain registrar's control panel. Your hosting provider gives you these name server addresses. Once you change them, your domain will point to your hosting server, and your WordPress site becomes accessible. The process is simple but easy to get wrong if you don't know where to look. Log into your domain registrar, in the instructor's case, the .np registrar for Nepali domains. Find the DNS or name server settings section. Replace the existing name servers with the 2 name servers your hosting company provided. Save the changes. It can take up to 24 to 48 hours for the change to fully propagate across the internet, but often it's much faster. To bring everything together, the instructor has shown how AI, specifically ChatGPT, can be woven into every stage of your website planning process, from generating homepage content and blog topics, to defining your color palette and typography, to producing a full wireframe layout. AI handles the heavy lifting on the planning side. What comes next is taking all of this structured output and actually building it inside WordPress using Elementor. That's where the real hands-on work begins.
Picking up right where we left off, let's talk about WordPress themes. The instructor uses a really intuitive analogy here. Think of it this way. Your domain is your address. Your hosting is the physical house, but the design of that house, where the doors go, where the windows are, how many rooms, that's what the theme controls. The theme brings the structure and visual layout to your website.
And this is a key point. When you swap out a theme, the entire layout of your website changes instantly. The instructor demonstrates this live. Installing a new theme completely transforms how the site looks. So a theme isn't just cosmetic tweaks. It's the fundamental design skeleton of your entire website. The WordPress theme library is enormous. The instructor navigates to WordPress.org and shows that there are over 14,000 themes available right now. 14,314 to be exact. These range across every style and purpose you can imagine. Importantly, themes come in both free and paid versions, but for this course, everything is done using free themes only. To put the credibility of WordPress in perspective, the instructor points out that massive organizations like NASA, Microsoft, Times USA, and major universities all run on WordPress. This isn't a beginner-only platform, it's enterprise grade, and with over 14,000 themes, you have an extraordinary range of design options at your fingertips. So in the simplest possible terms, a theme is a pre-built structure or design. Someone has already created it and made it available for you to install. You don't drag and drop pieces to build a theme from scratch. You pick one that fits your vision, install it, and it applies that entire design system to your site. Think of it like choosing a blueprint for your house, rather than drawing one yourself. Now, let's move on to plugins, one of the most powerful concepts in WordPress. The instructor uses another great analogy. Imagine you've built your house. The walls are up, the roof is on. Now you want to paint it, add decorative touches, make it look polished. That finishing work is what plugins do for your website. They add functionality and features on top of the existing theme structure. Concretely, if you want to change a section's color from black to blue, a plugin handles that. Need a contact form on your site? A plugin brings it in. Want to add a photo gallery or slider? Plugin. The instructor makes it clear. Plugins are what make customization easy without needing to write code. They extend what your theme can do. When you install WordPress, it comes with a couple of default plugins already in place. The instructor highlights two. One is an anti-spam and antivirus plugin. It protects your site from unwanted spam submissions and malicious content. The other helps generate placeholder text, similar to Lorem Ipsum, which is useful when you're building layouts and need dummy content to fill space while designing. The user section of WordPress is really practical for real-world scenarios. The instructor explains that if you and a friend or colleague are running a website together, you don't need to share one login. You can add multiple users, each with their own username, email, password, and assigned role. You control exactly what each person can access, whether they're a full admin or just a contributor. Each user also has a personal profile within WordPress. You can set your name, upload a profile photo, write a short biography, and even customize the color scheme of your admin dashboard. Options include light mode, blue, midnight, and others. It's a small detail, but it makes working in the backend feel more personalized. The Tools section in WordPress is less glamorous, but very important when the time comes. The instructor explains that import and export are used when you need to migrate your website, moving it from one hosting provider to another or creating a backup of your content. There's also a mention of Tumblr, which is a separate blogging platform that has integration options here, though it's not the main focus. Now the instructor shifts into the actual design execution workflow, how you physically build a homepage inside WordPress. The key warning here is important. Don't start building without your content prepared. If you jump straight into WordPress and start placing sections without knowing what text, images, and headings go where, you'll get stuck mid-build. Prepare everything first, then execute. The Hero section is the very first thing visitors see when they land on your homepage. It's that big visual area at the top. The instructor builds this first, placing an image on one side and text on the other, in a portfolio-style layout. Getting this section right sets the tone for the entire page, so it deserves careful attention to layout and content. When styling individual elements inside WordPress, the instructor walks through 4 key adjustments you'll make constantly. First, background color, setting sections to black for strong contrast. Second, text color, making headings red or white so they pop against dark backgrounds. Third, padding, adding breathing room around elements so nothing feels cramped. And fourth, corner radius, removing rounded corners to get clean, sharp edges on boxes. Font choice also plays a big role in how professional your site looks. The instructor demonstrates switching to Poppins, a clean, modern font that works well for portfolios and business sites. An important concept here, your heading text should always be noticeably larger than your description or body text. That visual hierarchy helps readers scan the page naturally. One practical tip the instructor shares is about using margins in your design tool. When you enable the margin view in settings, it shows you exactly how much space exists around each content area, top, bottom, left, right. This is incredibly helpful for keeping your layout consistent and aligned. When you're ready to download or export your design, you can uncheck margins so they don't appear in the final output. A student asks a great question here. Is wireframing done inside WordPress or separately? The answer is separately. WordPress doesn't have a built-in wireframing tool. Wireframing is a planning step where you sketch out the layout and structure of your pages before you start building. Tools like Figma or Canva work well for this. You design your concept there, then use that as your guide when building in WordPress.
The instructor gives a clear homework assignment for the next session. Everyone needs to come prepared with two things. First, a clear idea of what content they want on their website, what sections, what text, what images. Second, a design concept, even a rough sketch or Figma mockup of what they want their homepage to look like. That preparation is what makes the next build session productive.
What if you have no idea what your website should look like? The instructor has a great suggestion. Go to Pinterest. Search for the type of website you want to build, and you'll find hundreds of real design examples and layouts. Save the ones that resonate with you, and use those as your visual reference when you sit down to build in WordPress. It's one of the best free resources for design inspiration available. Picking up right where we left off, let's walk through the settings panel in WordPress, because this is genuinely one of the most critical areas of the entire dashboard. Every new WordPress site needs these configured correctly before you start building anything. Let's go through each section one by one.
The settings menu is right here in the left sidebar of your WordPress admin. Before you install themes, before you add plugins, before you write a single post, come here first and get these options set up properly. Inside General Settings, the first thing to update is your site title. If it currently says something like Digital Bishal, change it to your own brand name. Right below that is the tagline. Write something that describes what your site is about. These two pieces of information appear in browser tabs and search results, so they matter.
The site icon field, also called the favicon, is that tiny little icon you see in your browser tab. You can see it right now on any website you visit. To set yours, click the site icon field, go to your media library, upload your logo image, select it, and save. It's a small detail, but it makes your site look professional and polished.
The membership checkbox. Only tick this if you're intentionally building a membership website where visitors can register. For most sites, leave it unchecked. And always make sure your own user role is set to administrator. You need full access to manage everything on your site.
Scrolling down in General Settings, you'll find the date and time format options. Set the date to match today's date and pick whatever format feels right for your audience. The time format can be 12-hour or 24-hour. You can even create a custom format if needed. Once you've configured everything on this page, hit Save Changes before moving on.
Now, this one is really important, permalinks. By default, WordPress generates ugly URLs like yoursite.com/p-123. That tells Google absolutely nothing about your content. Instead, set it to post name, which creates URLs like yoursite.com/whatisdigitalmarketing. Google reads your URL the same way it reads your title, so a clean, keyword-rich URL directly helps your on-page SEO.
When someone searches for what is digital marketing, Google looks at your URL and sees those exact keywords, and that's a ranking signal. This is what we mean by on-page SEO being built right into your site structure. Set this to post name once, save it, and don't change it after you've published content. Changing permalinks on a live site breaks existing links.
Reading settings control things like how many posts appear on your blog page, and whether your homepage shows your latest posts or a static page. For now, leave these at their defaults. You'll revisit them once you start building out your pages. Discussion settings handle comments and moderation. Again, the defaults work fine for most sites starting out. Before you consider your website complete, there are 5 pages you absolutely must have: Home, About, Services, Blog, and Contact. Don't skip any of these. On top of that, you need to create 2 legal pages, a privacy policy and terms and conditions. WordPress actually has a built-in privacy policy page generator to help you get started. These aren't optional. They're expected by users and required by law in many regions. Now, let's talk about changing your theme. Head to Appearance in your WordPress sidebar. You'll see all currently installed themes. The important thing here is to delete the themes you're not using. Having extra inactive themes clutters your installation and can even pose security risks. Keep only the theme you plan to use, activate it, and you're ready to start customizing. So you've got your WordPress site set up, but now what do you actually build? If you're not sure what your website should look like, Pinterest is an incredibly powerful free tool for design research. Just go to Pinterest, create a free account, and search for terms like digital agency website design or web design portfolio. You'll get hundreds of real design examples to draw inspiration from. Try different search terms to explore different styles. Search digital marketing website, web design portfolio, or agency landing page. Each search gives you a completely different set of visual ideas.
The goal is to find a design direction that resonates with you before you start building. This saves you a huge amount of time and rework later.
Here's a practical tip for learning in a group setting. If everyone picks the same design reference to work from, it becomes much easier to learn together. When you run into a problem, you can compare your screen with a classmate's and figure out exactly where things went wrong. If everyone has a completely different design, that peer support breaks down. So the recommendation is to agree on one design as a group.
Whether you're building a portfolio site, an agency site, or a business website, these 5 pages are non-negotiable: home, about, services, blog, and contact. Each one serves a specific purpose in guiding your visitor through your site. The home page draws them in, about builds trust, services explains what you do, blog drives organic search traffic, and contact gives them a way to reach you. Let's break each page down a bit more. Your home page should have a hero section at the top, then a problem-solution section, benefits, and testimonials. That's landing page structure. About is your credibility builder. Services is where you convert visitors. Blog is your long-term SEO engine, and contact is your conversion endpoint. Note that a dedicated landing page has its own separate structure. That's a topic for later. So here's what needs to happen before the next session. Go to Pinterest, browse through design ideas, and pick one wireframe design that you want to build. Send it to the group chat so everyone can see what direction you're going. Make sure your chosen design includes all 5 essential pages. Once everyone has submitted their design reference, the next session will be hands-on building, coding each section, each page, step by step. Now, let's talk about a practical AI workflow that was demonstrated here. Instead of just asking ChatGPT to rewrite your content, you first give it a role. Act as a prompt engineer or act as a professional copywriter. This is called role prompting, and it dramatically improves the quality of the output. You're essentially telling the AI what kind of expert to behave like before it handles your task. The 3-step process is simple. Step 1, define the role. Tell the AI what kind of expert it should be. Step 2, paste in your raw content, even if it's rough notes or written in another language. Step 3, the AI returns a polished professional version. This technique works for writing website copy, blog posts, social media captions, YouTube scripts, and much more. There's a browser extension called AIPRM, that adds a library of pre-built prompt templates directly inside your ChatGPT interface. To install it, go to your browser's extensions menu, search for AIPRM, and add it. Once it's installed, every time you open ChatGPT, you'll see a collection of ready-made prompts for SEO writing, content creation, YouTube scripting, and more. This will be covered in depth in the next session. Continuing from where we left off, the next step in setting up a WordPress site is selecting the right theme. The instructor walks through the process. Navigate to Appearance, then Themes, and delete all the default themes that came pre-installed. The reasoning here is practical. Every unused theme sitting on your server consumes space and resources, so it's good hygiene to remove what you don't need. Here's an important observation the instructor makes. The default themes that come with WordPress are block themes. When a block theme is active, you only see 2 options in the Appearance menu, the theme editor, and that's about it. But once you install a classic theme, the menu expands significantly. You get design, customization, widgets, menus, and more. That's a big difference in what you can actually do. So how many types of WordPress themes are there? The instructor breaks it down clearly. There are 4 types. First is the block theme, which is fully editable and works well even without extra plugins. Second is the classic theme, which is template-based and very beginner-friendly. Third is the hybrid theme, which combines both classic and block features. And fourth is the universal theme, which includes all configuration options from all 3 types. For the purposes of this digital marketing course, the instructor specifically recommends starting with the classic theme. The reasoning is solid. When you're learning from scratch, the classic theme gives you a structured, template-based environment that's easier to understand. You're not thrown into full site editing right away. It's the best foundation for building your skills step by step. Let's look at each theme type more closely. The block theme is what WordPress ships with by default. It uses the block editor, also known as Gutenberg, for everything, including headers, footers, and page layouts. The great thing about block themes is that most modern plugins work seamlessly with them, and you can edit virtually every part of the site. If you want full creative control over every element, block themes are powerful. The classic theme works on a template model. You find a template you like, import it into WordPress, and then customize it to match your brand. This approach is much more approachable for beginners because the structure is already laid out for you. You're filling in content rather than building from nothing. And as we mentioned, classic themes unlock the full appearance menu, giving you access to widgets, menus, and the customizer.
The hybrid theme sits in the middle. It gives you both classic template features and block editing capabilities at the same time. This is useful when you want structured templates, but also need the flexibility of block-based editing for certain pages. The universal theme takes it even further. It includes every configuration option from all 3 theme types. It's the most flexible, but also the most complex, which is why it's not the starting point for beginners. The instructor shares a list of high-quality classic themes worth knowing. Astra is one of the most popular. It's lightweight and extremely customizable. Cadence is excellent for agencies and digital marketing projects. Blocksy is clean and works well for e-commerce. GeneratePress is known for its speed and minimal footprint. OceanWP is built by a well-established company and suits business websites. And GoViral is great for content-heavy or blogging sites. These are all worth bookmarking. For this particular class, the instructor chooses Astra as the demonstration theme. It supports portfolio sites, blogs, and business websites all in one package, and its latest version is actively maintained. The instructor also notes that Astra has excellent reviews and is one of the most trusted themes in the WordPress ecosystem. You can install it directly from the WordPress theme directory by searching under the Popular tab.
Installing a classic theme is straightforward. From your WordPress dashboard, go to Appearance, then Themes, and click Add New. Switch to the Popular tab to see the most widely used themes. Find your chosen theme, in this case Astra, click Install, and then immediately click Activate. The moment you activate it, your site's appearance transforms. The instructor points out how dramatically different and cleaner the site looks after switching from the default block theme to a classic one.
The difference is immediately visible. Before switching, with the default block theme, your appearance menu only shows 2 items, and the site has heavy default styling. After activating a classic theme like Astra, the menu expands to show design, customize, widgets, and menus. The site itself becomes clean and minimal, a blank canvas ready for your content and branding. This is why the instructor calls it neat and clean. You're starting fresh with full control. The instructor also introduces the concept of landing page planning. A landing page has a very specific structure designed to convert visitors. It starts with the hero section, your headline and call to action. Then you address the problem points your audience faces, followed by the solution points, showing how you solve those problems. After that comes the benefits section and testimonials for social proof. This structure is intentional and follows proven conversion principles. The instructor clarifies that landing pages are separate from regular website pages and will be covered in detail in the next session. The plan is to build all these sections, hero, problem, solution, benefits, testimonials, using Elementor, which is a page builder plugin. So the landing page content is something to look forward to in the next class, where everything will be built hands-on from scratch.
The instructor wraps up by previewing what's coming in future sessions, specifically AI-powered content creation. The reason AI tools like ChatGPT are being included in this course is simple. The industry has moved in that direction, and learning outdated methods would put you at a disadvantage. The upcoming sessions will cover how to use AI for writing SEO content, creating YouTube content, and building website copy, all aligned with current trends. One specific tool the instructor mentions is using ChatGPT as a browser extension. This was something students were curious about, where exactly to find it. It turns out it's available as a browser extension, making it accessible right inside your workflow without switching between tabs. This kind of integration is what makes AI tools genuinely useful in a day-to-day content creation process. The instructor closes the session with a quick summary of everything covered. From cPanel usage and subdomain creation to WordPress installation, theme types, and selecting and activating a classic theme, it was a packed session. The landing page structure was introduced as a preview of what's coming next, and AI content creation with tools like ChatGPT was teased as a major component of future sessions. Next time, the focus shifts to building actual pages with Elementor.
Before we jump into building pages, there are 4 essential plugins that need to be installed on your WordPress site. First is Elementor, a powerful page builder that lets you create beautiful, professional designs visually. Second is WP Forms, which you'll use to build contact forms and lead capture forms. Third is Rank Math, which handles all your SEO needs. And fourth is Lightspeed Cache, which speeds up your website by managing cached files.
The instructor recommends starting with Elementor. It's the foundation of your design workflow. Everything else builds on top of it. So install this one first before moving on to the others.
The good news is that all 4 of these plugins are available for free directly from the WordPress plugin directory. You don't need to purchase anything to get started. Just search, install, and activate each one.
Installing plugins in WordPress is straightforward. From your dashboard, go to Plugins, then Add New. You can browse popular plugins or simply search by name. Once you find the plugin you want, click Install Now and then Activate. Repeat this process for all 4 plugins: Elementor, WP Forms, Rank Math, and Lightspeed Cache. A quick tip here: if you know the exact name of the plugin, just type it into the search bar directly. The instructor mentions that browsing the Popular tab also gives you a sense of just how many plugins are available. There are thousands, both free and paid. Before you install any plugin, not just these 4, there are 2 critical things to check. First, make sure it says compatible with your version of WordPress. Second, check when it was last tested and updated. If a plugin shows as untested, do not install it. An untested plugin can seriously hamper your site's performance and may even introduce security vulnerabilities or viruses. This is something a lot of beginners overlook. The plugin directory has thousands of options, and not all of them are safe or well-maintained. Always take 5 seconds to check those 2 things, compatibility and last tested date, before hitting that install button.
There is one more plugin worth mentioning: the Classic Editor. WordPress by default uses the Gutenberg block editor, which can feel fragmented when you're writing long articles. The Classic Editor gives you a cleaner, word processor-style interface that many writers find much easier to work with. If you plan to write a lot of content, the instructor recommends installing this one too. Let's wrap up with a summary of everything covered in today's class. On the cPanel side, we learned how to navigate cPanel, create a subdomain, and install WordPress directly through cPanel. Then inside WordPress, we explored the dashboard, looked at themes, posts, and plugins. We installed 5 plugins in total and also went through how to export and import themes. That's a solid foundation for everything that comes next.
Just to be specific about the plugins, the 5 installed today are Elementor, WP Forms, Rank Math, Lightspeed Cache, and Classic Editor. Each serves a distinct purpose, and together they give your WordPress site a strong, functional starting point. Before the next class, there are 3 things to do. First, make sure everything from today is set up, all 5 plugins installed, and your theme ready. Second, choose a website design that you like. Look at similar websites for inspiration, pick one you want to replicate in style, and share it in the group. Third, do your niche research thoroughly. The instructor will review everyone's designs and guide the full build in the next session. To close out, here are the 5 big takeaways from this session. cPanel is your server-level control center. The WordPress dashboard is where you manage everything on the front end. Plugins are powerful, but must be chosen carefully. Always check compatibility. And the 4 core plugins, Elementor, WP Forms, Rank Math, and Lightspeed Cache, form the essential toolkit for any professional WordPress site. With these foundations in place, you're ready to start building something great.